Add 64 and 2 together, you have the total value of 66, which represents the decimal value for the first group of blocks and spaces. In the second column, you have ones with values of 64, 32, 4, and 1. When you add them all together, you get the decimal number of 101. And this can be repeated for all of the groups in the message. This is known as the ASCII conversion table. It enables you to derive the associated character that is related to a specific decimal value. Each number from 32 to 126 has been defined to represent an associated text character. Symbol characters are listed here along with their associated decimal values. The capital letters are here and the lowercase letters are here. These are the same groups which are listed again with their columns of digits along with their related values and associated decimal numbers. Shown below each decimal number is the associated letter that is derived from the ASCII table. These letters spell out the first word of the message on the disk. For instance, the first group has a decimal value of 66. When you find this number of 66 in the table of sequential values, you find that it corresponds to the capital letter B, which is the first letter here. The second group has a decimal value of 101. When you find the number 101 in this table, you discover that it corresponds to the lowercase letter e, which is here. This can be done for all of the groups in the same manner. This is the complete translation of the message on the disk. It says, "Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. Believe. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing." Notice how all of the letters and some of the words are capitalized in order to add emphasis. In some words, like this one and this one here, only the first two letters are capitalized. Let's examine what this message is actually trying to tell us. The first sentence states, "Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises." This message is far too important to simply be telling us to be cautious of one another. Because this message appears to be of extraterrestrial origin, I believe that it is referring to the intentions of an alien race that could be offering us advanced technology and spiritual guidance. Although it does not specifically reveal whether false gifts have been offered in the past or will be offered in the future, it does say that those who offer the gifts have broken their promises in the past. Since this is not common knowledge, it implies that secret communications have taken place between our government and extraterrestrials that have proven to be untrustworthy. This is telling us that we should be suspicious of any gifts that an alien race may provide, and that we should not trust everything that they tell us. The second sentence says, "Much pain, but still time." Whoever wrote this is displaying compassion for human suffering, which they know exists on this planet. Although this does not indicate who is suffering, it can be assumed that the pain referred to here is caused by the bearers of false gifts and broken promises. However, it does state that there is still time to overcome the pain. The next sentence consists of a single word, believe. It is telling us to believe that there is still time for humanity to end the suffering here. The next sentence states, "There is good out there." It implies that there are good entities that can help us to stop the pain. Although there is no indication of immediate help, we should believe that there are good entities that can help us. This next sentence states, "We oppose deception." This indicates the source of this message as coming from a group of beings that are concerned about the dangers to humanity by untrustworthy entities that seek to deceive us with false gifts. They are making it clear that it is their intention to oppose those who would take advantage of others through deception. The last message is the most puzzling. It states, "Conduit closing." There is no mention as to what the conduit is used for or why we should be interested in the fact that it is closing. A conduit is a channel that enables fluids, cables, and other materials to pass through it. It is also defined as a narrow corridor for people to pass between buildings. In the context of this message, I believe that it is referring to a passageway or portal that enables the evil entities to pass into our world. The fact that it is closing is telling us that the entities that are here are unable to leave, and that no more entities can come into our world. This is a translation of the same message that has previously been distributed throughout the world. There is deception here. Someone has deliberately wanted you to believe that this message says something else. In the first place, only the first letters of each sentence are capitalized. There is no added emphasis on certain words, where all letters of those words are capitalized in the actual message. Next, there is no period after the word believe. So instead of believing there is still time, this little omission causes the word believe to become a part of the next sentence with no added meaning. Then the entire last sentence is missing, which states conduit closing. This is a deliberate attempt to prevent you from knowing this little detail. But the worst part of this deception is in the translation of the last character of the message. It is widely thought that the last character has a value of 7 and is equal to a bell symbol, which used to cause the old teletype machines to ring its bell in order to signal the arrival of a message. This is a deliberate attempt to prevent you from thinking that there is anything more to this message. This is a close-up view of the ending of the message on the disc. This solid line wraps around the edge of the disc. This portion here is the last group of blocks and spaces that indicate the last character. This is the same portion of the disc with the last group highlighted. The message ends with a triangle that faces toward the previous group. All of the other triangles face towards the start of the next group, like this one and this one here. This group represents the capital N, which is this letter here, and this group represents the capital G, which is this last letter here, and this group represents the last symbol of the message. If it were a value of 7, which would make it a bell symbol, then there would be blocks in the last 3 places, and there would be spaces everywhere else. If this is a bell symbol, what is this block doing here, and why are there spaces here? The truth of the matter is that the last character of this message is actually a comma. Now you may be wondering what the significance is as to how this message ends. Well, in this case it is extremely important. Whoever provided the initial translation wanted you to believe that there is no further information to be expected by ending the message with a bell symbol. However, the actual message ends with a comma, not a period or a bell symbol. This indicates that the last sentence is incomplete and there's more information to follow. Now, those who would deceive you do not want you to know that. As for myself, I can't wait until the next crop circle season to begin so that I can find out what the rest of this message has to say. It's been my intention to reveal some of the little-known facts regarding the crop circle phenomenon. It is hoped that this presentation has provided a new perspective and insight into what the crop circle makers intended to convey. There are many serious researchers that have devoted several hours of hard work and at great expense to themselves in order to make this information available, and credit is given to these courageous individuals at the end of this presentation. Now, please feel free to make copies of this presentation available to as many people as possible. I believe that this information is of great importance to mankind. Thank you very much. Add 64 and 2 together, you have the total value of 66, which represents the decimal value for the first group of blocks and spaces. In the second column, you have ones with values of 64, 32, 4, and 1. When you add them all together, you get the decimal number of 101. And this can be repeated for all of the groups in the message. This is known as the ASCII conversion table. It enables you to derive the associated character that is related to a specific decimal value. Each number from 32 to 126 has been defined to represent an associated text character. Symbol characters are listed here along with their associated decimal values. The capital letters are here and the lowercase letters are here. These are the same groups which are listed again with their columns of digits along with their related values and associated decimal numbers. Shown below each decimal number is the associated letter that is derived from the ASCII table. These letters spell out the first word of the message on the disk. For instance, the first group has a decimal value of 66.